Okay, session number 3 of the day is our dearly beloved ThoughtSpot.
Mhm.
I feel like everybody knows ThoughtSpot by now, but if they don't, they're about to. And we'll start with just a little bit of a welcome to our 4th annual Technology Matters Marathon. We are so excited to host you today and bring you 5 very exciting tech demos throughout the day. So we are right smack dab in the middle of it. This is number 3. My name is
Mhm.
Kalia Garrido. I head up marketing and events here at Great Data Minds. For those of you that don't already know us, we are a collective of passionate data activists, and we are on a mission to modernize the world of data. We do this in 2 different ways. The first is that we have our services arm. That's at greatdatamindsinnovationlabs.com. That's where we do the deployment of our critical data projects, strategic planning, all of the actual big brain thinking data work is happening on that side of the house. But we also really want to facilitate conversation, communication, networking, and we do this by creating a host of great events that we offer on Great Data Minds, just like the one you are listening to
Mhm.
today. A little bit of housekeeping. Of course, we were on a webinar status, so cameras and microphones are off, but we want to hear from you. Everybody has been doing such a fantastic job today of using the chat. I see people
I
in
know.
there
Yep.
I
giving each
know.
other feedback, talking, asking
Love it.
questions. Yep. And Mike is doing a fantastic job of queuing up those questions to share back with the presenters at the end of the session. So that's really how it's going to go. If you've got something to say, put it in the chat. If you feel like using the Q&A, you can do that too. If you want to wait for a little more of a formal time to ask your question, we'll save some time at the end of the session for that.
Mhm.
So each one of our sessions is going to follow the same format, a little bit of banter and bad jokes like what we're doing right now. We then roll into a little bit of information about the company. So we're going to learn more about ThoughtSpot coming up next. That's about 15, 20 minutes. And then we roll into a demo of the solution. We reserve a few minutes to answer those questions at the end, take a short break, go out and look at the snakes that are creeping around the backyard, and then
Accumulating in your backyard.
accumulating, yeah, with a scary ferocity. And then, we do it all again at the top of the hour. So please allow me once again to introduce my partners in crime. We have Miss Julie Burrows. She is our CEO, our fearless leader, our visionary. What would we do without her? And we have Mike Lampa. He puts the great data mind in great data
Beat that
minds.
dance, Mike.
What's that?
Beat that dance.
Ooh, 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 ooh. I have to
Okay,
get my
okay.
Mean Gene dancing machine going here.
There we
Okay,
go. You gotta
here
keep
we
it live. This
go.
is like,
Andrew
yep,
says,
there
I
we
think
go.
I'm
All
gonna go
right.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew's
I
like,
didn't know that was
I
a
didn't.
requirement.
So,
Okay, so
Julie,
our esteemed guest. Oh, well, let me introduce Andrew before we get
yes,
cooking.
yes, let's do
So
that.
Andrew Young, he is the Senior Director of Product Marketing at ThoughtSpot. He's got a robust background in product marketing, product management, software development. And today he's the guy on the inside who's going to share more information with us about ThoughtSpot. So Mike,
Yeah.
Andrew, thanks for being here. Mike, get it. Whatever you got to
Hey,
say.
Andrew,
Get it.
Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
We are
absolutely
really,
happy to be here.
yeah, we are excited to have you hawk your wares to the folks on the call today. Julie, I know we said it earlier, these aha moments we're having. And that's because we constantly are looking at the technology that's out there to find the stuff that matters. But ThoughtSpot blew us away. What was our aha moment, Julie?
Well, it was, I remember we were trying to get funding from, for one of our events that we do. Sometimes we get sponsorships, and one of the people that I knew in my community here in Denver was working for ThoughtSpot, and he said, you know what, you might be interested in talking to so-and-so. So I called so-and-so, and I'm like, yeah, we're looking for someone to host it's around building visualizations. And she was a marketing person at the time. She goes, we don't do visualizations. And I go, hold on. And I go, what do you mean you don't do visualizations? So she said, okay, so let me show you a couple things. And I had looked at it, and it didn't sink in. But when she started showing me, around ThoughtSpot a little bit, I had my aha moment. I hung up the phone and called Mike. And, that aha moment came with the fact that, you're going to use a Google like search bar to ask a question, and it's going to give you an answer. And you don't have to sit there and build a blue, logo onto a dashboard, and it'll just serve up your answer, and it'll give you a dashboard if you're all about the dashboard thing. You can put it on your your board, and you can put several of them. But it was an aha moment.
Absolutely, absolutely, and continues to wow us with the new features and capabilities that are rolling out. We're on a project right now where Tableau is the chosen visualization enabler, and I'd say 30% of our project costs are just Tableau form over function, fixing the fonts, fixing the colors. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So we're doing a Tableau project, which we do those, but boy, I tell you, if we would have had ThoughtSpot in the account, we would have been done a lot further. A couple other things. You think about Gartner and others say that only 30% of the dashboards that are developed are used by the business. So lots of reasons why, and if you want to talk about it, we can tell you. But you sit there and you think about, and I'm going to send you an article here in a minute, the cost of a data resource to build all those visualizations and all that stuff. And then it's finally done, and the business says, yeah, thanks for coming, and it's never used. Yeah. So a lot of resource cost savings in this tool, and every tool that we're talking about today. I mean, the resource cost savings is never talked about, but as you see what Andrew's going to show you, think about not having to do all of that visualization work. Yep. And finally, I'm happy to announce that we are ThoughtSpot's Emerging Partner of the Year. Yay.
Great partnership and great technology. And Andrew, with that, we'd like to turn it over to you, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Julie. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll take a few seconds, and hopefully I'm sharing the right one when it comes up. And then I will hit slideshow.
Looks good.
All right. So I am going to spend probably the first 10 minutes or so going through a few slides. And then I will jump into the product and walk you through it and kind of show a few things that Julie and Mike were kind of talking to you about. So hello, everyone. Again, I'm Andrew Young. I'm Senior Director of Product Marketing here at ThoughtSpot. I've been at ThoughtSpot for close to 7 years. I'm based out here in California. We do have snakes, but I don't have one around my neighborhood right now just yet. It's been a fairly long winter, actually. So I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about what we're calling AI-powered analytics. So first things first, let me start with a quick overview of the company. We were founded 11 years ago. In fact, fun fact, we just celebrated our 11th birthday earlier this week. You may have seen some of our social posts all over the wire. And our mission for the past 11 years has been the same since day one. And that is to make the world more fact-driven. And our vision for how to do that is by making the world's easiest to use analytics platform. And so, as Julie mentioned, it's not just all about visualization or tweaking, trying to do, perfect, fit and form. Is really how you access and ask questions on your data so that you actually get the insights that you want when you want them. Our solution does run on top of some of the most popular cloud data platforms that are out there. So think of the likes of Snowflake, Databricks, Google BigQuery, Amazon Redshift, Azure Synapse, and a lot of the cloud deployed databases as well. So wherever your data is sitting, we are able to connect to them. But what is most unique about our solution is that we are actually running everything via live queries or direct queries. So customers don't need to move their data or they don't need to run data extracts either. We also partner with the best of breed vendors across the modern data stack. So think of organizations like the DBTs, the Fivetrans, Matillions, Alation, DataRobot, what have you, and a whole lot more. So we offer joint solutions, we offer joint vision and other motions when we're working with these other best of breed vendors. Mm-hmm. Now on the right side of the screen here, you can see some of the companies that we work with. These include some of the most recognizable brands in the world. And since we launched our SaaS offering a few years ago, we also work with some of the most innovative startups as well. And so all of these customers, they came to us with one of these problems, or in fact, a good number of them that came with us with all 4 of these problems. And so starting here on the left here, first off, they were struggling to answer that next question. So, I'm sure, all of you have been in that situation where you're sitting in a boardroom or a conference room, and you're staring at a very nice looking dashboard that someone else had built, someone who is technical, someone who knows the data, someone who knows that BI tool or visualization tool. And you're looking at this dashboard and you see this metric that is trending up or trending down. And you ask, why did that happen? Well, chances are, you might have another visualization or some explanation on that visualization that kind of describes to you how. And maybe you're a couple other answers to some of the questions that you have. But then, the more visualizations that you're looking at, the more questions that you're going to have. And you ask another question and another person asks another question and another as well. And so, as you have kind of this, flow of additional questions that you want answers to right away, you're unable to capture those answers or get to those answers because, trying to get to those answers, require that technical resource to go back and, build a new visualization, build a new dashboard. And it's going to take time. It's going to take money for them to do that. And you just can't wait for that while you're sitting in that boardroom. You need those answers right then and there. And second thing that we hear a lot about is that most, dashboards, they are built on pre-aggregated data, and also with predefined drill paths. And so getting down to the details is, near impossible, or, it's going to take an extremely long time as well. And so because of that, what happens is, people start making decisions, based on what they're seeing, on the aggregated data, on the average data, and, or even, God forbid, based on their gut, right? And so they're not able to actually get down to those granular insights to be able to make those truly, data-driven decisions. And that can have real business implications, right? And so thirdly here, based on, some of these problems that I just talked to you about, it's just going to be expensive. You need more and more technical resources to build more and more visualizations, to answer more and more questions that all of your business people actually have. And so it's going to be challenging, and the costs are going to start adding up, and it's just going to be really difficult to get to that true return on that investment that you have on your data and on your data stack and on your BI tool. And then lastly, here on the right side, we also see that a lot of organizations, they are what we call, data rich, but insights poor. Right. They have a really weak data-driven culture. And because of that, and because of how difficult it is to get to those data-driven insights, there's low overall adoption, which means that, there's, poor use of their data and also, poor decision-making as well. So, when they came to us, why did they actually choose ThoughtSpot? It's really across, a number of these benefits that I'm showing you here on the screen. So ThoughtSpot, first of all, is simple. I mentioned that, that is our vision to create the easiest to use analytics platform that's out there. And so our primary interaction with data is to have that conversation through a search bar. Right. So, if you know how to ask a question, on a Google search bar, or if you know how to search for a product that you want to buy on Amazon, you'll be able to type a question into a search bar in ThoughtSpot and ask a question and get an answer. And so by doing so, everyone, who, even if you don't truly understand your data, or you don't know how to create a visualization, there is no more tax on that curiosity as you're asking those questions, because you're just typing that question into a search bar. And then the system is smart. And I say so because, when you're working with a search bar, yes, you're only looking at a search bar. It looks simple. It is meant to be simple, but under the covers, there's just a lot of smarts built in. The search bar, actually, the more you use it, the more it actually knows you. It sounds kind of scary, when I say that, but it is true. Right? Think of how the more you search on Google or the more you search on Amazon, the more personalized content is actually distributed to you. And so in a similar manner, our search bar uses AI in its underlying query engine to be able to create and generate those insights that are most relevant to you. And then we also have an insights engine that leverages a lot of AI and ML algorithms that help proactively answer additional questions, even questions that you may not have thought to ask. And then it's fast. We've been, this search engine, this platform, this analytics platform was built from the ground up to be able to address, granular insights at scale. So no need for pre-aggregations or predefined drill paths, really allowing the user to be able to freely and easily drill down to the most granular insight. And then finally, our goal is to ultimately drive adoption and help deliver value to our customers by really helping them transform how they are using their data to drive their businesses. And so, speaking of our customers, here's one example. It's Canadian Tire. And so for those of you who don't know them, they don't just sell tires. They are actually a huge retailer. Think of it as being like the Walmart or the Target of Canada. And they have 1,700 stores across all of Canada. And in the retail industry, retail is extremely data intensive. It's a data intensive industry where these merchants that are on the front lines of the business, they're working with hundreds of thousands of SKUs, millions of SKUs perhaps, and they're managing sales and inventory levels, across hundreds of locations. So you need to be able to get down to those, insights, down to the most granular detail, and you want to be able to get to them fast. Now, in terms of some of the statistics here from their usage of ThoughtSpot, they have over 1,100 monthly active users. Okay, so there are actual active users, asking questions or hitting the system every single month. But what's more interesting is not the volume of users, is what they're actually doing in the system. If you look at the far right, 30,000, more than 30,000 monthly live board views. So think of live board as, looking at visualizations, looking at a collection of visualizations. Yes, 30,000, across over 1,000 monthly active users, that's a lot, but compare that to the number of searches that they're actually performing every single month. So 400,000 monthly searches, that's 10x the number of views on a live board. So we're really flipping this analytics paradigm upside down, where all of their users, they are actually interacting with their data and asking their own questions a lot more than actually looking at live boards that have actually been created by other users. They're both useful, but really the true power is how you can constantly feed yourself with more answers as you're asking more questions. And then down to the business impact here is, what has this done for Canadian Tire? The Wall Street Journal, published an article last year about how they got through the pandemic, and they were able to increase their fill rates by 6% and grow their sales by 20%, during the the most strenuous times within the pandemic. And so that's the real power of data and the real power of true self-service access to that data. So let me switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about AI. And so I mentioned earlier, we've been using AI for years within ThoughtSpot. It's the search bar, the search engine, the query engine, the insights engine, that's all driven by AI. But you can see, as all know, in the industry right now, it's at an inflection point. And I'm sure every person here on this call actually has experienced with ChatGPT. All 700 of our employees, we've actually played around with ChatGPT within ThoughtSpot as well. And so what we're seeing right now is that there's this new, influx of technologies in AI, especially and with GPT and with large language models, where this is really going to fundamentally change how software works and how each of these different industries works. And within the analytics space, what we think is it's really going to change in a number of different areas within the analytics workflow. So you're going to be able to experience AI infused in a number of different experiences, from how you model data, from how you discover your insights, how you can explain those insights, how you can explain changes in trends, how you can explain changes in how things are being predicted or forecasted, how you can collaborate better using AI together with your colleagues and with your peers. So there's a lot of movement and potential with how AI is going to change the analytics workflow. And so, from that perspective, ThoughtSpot has always been in the forefront of innovation. And 2 months ago, we actually launched ThoughtSpot Sage. And this is our new AI-powered search experience for ThoughtSpot, and it's built with GPT. And so I'm going to walk you through a demo of this in just a little bit. But we have been kind of this leader in a search-driven experience for analytics for a number of years. And with GPT, true to our vision of making things easy in analytics, GPT is really going to make analytics easier for the end user. So with ThoughtSpot Sage, we're using our AI technology together with GPT to allow users to ask questions in natural language and also get AI generated insights. GPT is also going to power these search recommendations and also help streamline experiences in search data modeling. And then what's more important here is also, it's not just how you're infusing different AI or GPT within different areas within the product, but it's also how you create that closed feedback loop so that you're helping the system get smarter and you're helping the system learn as more and more people use it and provide thumbs up and thumbs down feedback to help improve the system. So I'll show you that experience in just a little bit. But just to give you a quick sneak peek here, that's kind of this animated GIF here on the right-hand side here. So you can ask a true natural language question in a search bar, and then it goes and discovers an insight based on the data that it has within the analytics catalog. And then you can start to add it into what we call live boards. And so, yes, we're calling these live boards. You've heard me say this throughout these few slides, and we're not calling them dashboards. So if you've been, following us for a little bit, you probably heard us talk a lot about, dashboards being dead, or sometimes we call them dead boards. And so the beauty of ThoughtSpot is that all of your answers are always alive. So if you can ask a question, you can create a piece of content, you can save a piece of content, you can add it to a live board, but you can also quickly drill into it. You can ask that next question. You can ask our insights engine to discover new insights on those on the data on those live boards. You are never truly at a stopping point where you're looking at a chart and you don't know what next to do. So you can continuously interact. Get more insight, ask more questions, and drill down and drill anywhere to get those underlying details. And so my last slide here before going into the demo is that there are two ways that we consume, users can consume ThoughtSpot. That's ThoughtSpot Analytics and ThoughtSpot Everywhere. On the left-hand side here, that's ThoughtSpot Analytics. That is a SaaS deployed offering so that customers can use ThoughtSpot internally within their company. And then for those product leaders, developers, or those who want to embed ThoughtSpot into their own products that they deliver to their customers and partners, we do offer an embedded analytics solution called ThoughtSpot Everywhere. So let me go ahead and switch into the product. Go ahead.
Andrew, I want to say something about ThoughtSpot Everywhere. I kind of think of you guys as a version 3 of, analytics reporting, but, in the past, embedded analytics has been very, very hard to do with the traditional tools that we all know. And because of the way you guys are built from the ground up, we're probably running 6 ThoughtSpot Everywhere projects for you. And it's just amazing how easy it is to implement that, the embedded analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've also, built in, a lot of these, we're not just exposing APIs and SDKs, to allow developers to build, but we're actually making that experience easy also, right? We have a built-in playground. So it's really a low code environment where you can, it's not just embedding a visualization or a dashboard, but also embedding a search-driven experience, right? And that's really going to help further broaden the scope of how these applications can reach more and more users.
Yeah, and we're seeing our customers are just generating a whole lot of incremental revenue by offering
Yep.
their analytic services through ThoughtSpot everywhere to their customers.
Yeah, and we actually have one organization we're working with that they're shutting down their traditional tool because they want to differentiate themselves and have a competitive edge with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let me jump into the demo here. And expand.
I love Emmanuel and his insights.
Yeah. All right. So when you're a user of ThoughtSpot and you log into ThoughtSpot, you're going to land on this homepage. And so one of the things that you'll notice on this homepage is it actually looks quite different from a lot of other BI analytics tools. Again, we really want to make analytics as simple as possible. And we want to make a lot of the content that has been created as easily accessible as possible. And so we've taken a lot of the design aspects and the interaction aspects from the consumer internet, bringing that into an analytics experience. So you can see here, first off, we have a search bar on the top. We are a search-driven, AI-powered analytics solution. So you will have a search bar where you can start asking questions. And then you'll see, what we call this watch list. And this watch list is, it consists of all of the KPIs. We have a visualization that we call KPI charts. And so if you have time series data that you want to continuously monitor, you can add those to a watch list on your homepage. So when you log into your homepage in ThoughtSpot, those are the first things that you see. And you can see if there are things that are out of bounds or if there's trending low, what you need to do about them. You get, real quick access to those KPIs. And then you'll see things here. These are all the content that's available to you from our ThoughtSpot analytics catalog. This is content that has been created by other users in your group. It's content that you have favorited. It is content consisting of answers. Answers are basically visualizations. Live boards are a collection of those answers that you can interact with. And then you can tag them. You can favorite them. You can also see trending the most trending views on the live boards and the answers. So think of this hey, if you're logging into a Spotify or an Airbnb, right, and you're searching for content, these are existing content created by other people or yourself that you may want to jump into real quickly. And these may be the most popular pieces of content that you might want to access as well. But what we want to do here first is I want to ask a question on a particular set of data. This is my retail data, and that I want to ask something about. So maybe I want to start asking, what are sales broken down by product type? Let me start with that. So it's taking this question and it's interacting with GPT, it's understanding this natural language question, and then it's bringing back a best fit visualization. So it's telling me, this is how sales performed across all of these different product types, based on this particular data set. But what's more important here is that if we kind of take a look at this question that I asked in true natural language, there's a lot of ambiguity in it. There's sales. Okay, sales might be an attribute within the data set. That's easy. But broken down by product type, right? What does that actually mean? How is the system actually going to go and recognize, what broken down actually means? Is broken down a value? Is broken a text that it needs to match against? And so this is where the interaction between what we have within the system, within our what we call our search data models, and how we leverage together with the power of GPT to help interpret this question in natural language and create a single answer for you that's generated by AI. But don't fret, it will also tell you how it actually came about. And so as you're asking this question in natural language, it also shows you these are the attributes and the search tokens that it's actually using. And so for those of you who have seen us or seen this product before in the past number of years, you'll know that we do have a search data interface and we call it relational search. And that's more of a keyword tokenized based search experience. And that is what our users had previously used to use keywords and attribute names and kind of help drive them towards that singular most accurate answer. It combines this together with the understanding of natural language to help you formulate an answer that you can trust based on what it's bringing back. Okay, and then it also supplements additional content that is user generated within that have been saved within the ThoughtSpot analytics catalog. So all of these additional content charts that are on these live boards, it'll also recommend that, hey, these are this is content that other people have created. You know, based on the wisdom of the crowds, it may be interesting for you to access them as well. Okay, so it combines, you know, the notion of what AI is generating together with what users have been generating. You can always go into this chart and take a look at what it's actually doing. And what it's doing is very simple. It's taking sales and breaking them down by product type. And, you know, perhaps you want to, you know, add some additional questions in here. And maybe I want to see this, you know, weekly in the last year, right? So again, you ask that next question very quickly. It goes back and it goes into the search engine, and it'll formulate a query to access that data and bring back, you know, these sales trends in a weekly manner and broken down by the product type. And so there are a lot of, you know, different chart types that you can interact with, and you can change these chart types as you wish. You can also say, oh, I see this dip here of these two data points. You know, what's actually going on here? I can select this data point, and then I can also select this data point, and then I can run what we call a change analysis. And so this again is kicking off a number of AI algorithms to help determine what are the key drivers to this particular change in this trend. And so it'll look at these top attributes. I say top attributes because what is actually ranking, you know, based on these attributes are based on usage-based ranking. So these are the most popular attributes and columns that people have been using. And so these might be the most relevant to you as well, for you to understand what have actually changed in these attributes as well. So I'll show you that, you know, for this product attribute, you know, these are the products that have contributed to the most to the drop in the trend. These are the top stores that have contributed to that drop as well, and so on and so forth. Or perhaps you might have another, you know, attribute in mind that you want to take a look at. Perhaps I want to look at, you know, county as well. So you can easily just add that, and it'll go ahead and generate insights and key drivers on those as well. So again, you're not stuck at just staring at a visualization. You can very quickly get down to the why. You might also say, you know what, I want to take a look at, you know, what were the top products that we're selling here. So I can drill anywhere and drill by product name. And you'll see that these were the products that have sold the most in the past year. And then for that data point, and then maybe I just want to do a top rank and sort on the top 7. And so very quickly, it'll filter that down to the top 7. And you have a new answer that you can go ahead and pin and add to your live board as well. So very easy to navigate, ask that next question and next question and next question. You're never at a stopping point when you're interacting and having that conversation with your data. And then we have unlimited undos and redos for you to go back to go back to a previous state. Let me go back to this ThoughtSpot stage search bar, and let me ask a little bit of a more ambiguous question. So maybe I want to ask, you know, let's say, did sweaters or vests sell better? Let me say sweaters, sorry. Well, the 2022 Christmas. And so again, there's a lot of ambiguity here. Sweaters and vests, you know, that's fine. Those are data values within our data set. But what does better mean? And what does Christmas season mean, right? And so again, this is using the power of you know, our search engine together with GPT to generate an accurate understanding of how to interpret this. And so when it does that translation, you'll see that it will, do selling based on the quantity sold column. And then it actually recognized Christmas season as, some date between November to the end of December. And I'll get back to this in just a little bit. But it also sees these data values for product types, sweaters and vests. And then it also do a sort to show you what is actually selling better, right? And so it's doing that translation, based on the knowledge that we have within our search data model and what GPT is bringing back in the query that is generating. But perhaps it's showing me November to end of December, and maybe that's something that me as a merchandising manager, what, Christmas season to me is not those 2 months. Maybe it should really be just the month of December. I can go back and I can thumbs this down and say, what, the system didn't get this right, so let's go and fix this. So you provide that feedback here, and you can go back into this experience and say, let's actually consider this to be December to December 31st, right? And you can go ahead and execute that, and you can submit that feedback. And then based on all of this feedback, the system will continuously learn and improve, understand your preferences, understand your own, human interpretation of, or human translation of the ambiguity. And so it'll funnel that back into the model to generate more relevant and more precise answers for you on the next run. Now, the other area that we have added AI is back into this tokenized search experience. Oftentimes, I mentioned up front that, we're making analytics as easy as can be, the interactions through a search bar. But oftentimes when you just have a search bar and it's an empty search bar, it can actually be, people will draw a blank. What do I ask first? What should I do when I start typing, right? And so together with GPT, we're also creating or generating these search recommendations. So these are starter searches. And so it recognizes, based on this data set and based on the different attributes in the data set, what could be interesting questions to ask. And so these are generated by our AI engine together with GPT, and then users can go in and go ahead and click on this and try this search, and then based on that, again, start to interact with that data, change the visualization type, or ask a next question. Again, they're never at a stopping point with how they're interacting with their data within ThoughtSpot. Okay. So that's kind of the search experience within ThoughtSpot. You can ask those questions either via tokenized search keywords, or you can ask that via natural language. The experience is all supplemented with how our search engine and the AI engine interacts with a GPT. Another area I did want to show a little bit is on our live boards. So I mentioned that live boards are a collection of visualizations. Yes, it looks like a dashboard, but you're never at a stopping point. You can continue to drill down, interact, ask new questions, continue to explore and such. So the first piece here I mentioned earlier, we have what we call these KPI charts. We also have anomaly detection on here. So based on the data points and the trends, it automatically calculates the bounds that your data points need to be in, and anything outside of those bounds are going to be considered anomalies. If there are anomalies, they will be highlighted as red, and you can click into it, and then it will have a natural language explanation of why they are anomalies. And if you wanted to, again, understand based on this particular KPI, what has contributed to this dip, again, we have this change analysis for the key drivers of all the key attributes that are contributing to this downward trend, right? Similar experience that I showed you earlier. And we also have what we call explore. I think we showed you this in our last session as well. And think of this explore mode as a combination of the recommended things that the system is suggesting you to do, as well as how else you can continue to interact with the data points here. So within this explore experience, you'll see that, there are these other things that you can do on this visualization. You can add your own filter, or you can select what the AI system is suggesting, based on its knowledge of usage within the system. So you can, add filters, you can add your own columns, you can replace columns, you can also do like comparisons. And so perhaps, I'm going to select a suggestion from the model that says maybe you want to, compare sales in New Hampshire versus Massachusetts. You can just select this particular chip, and it'll go ahead and create that brand new visualization. You can pin that visualization back into the live board, or you can save it to do more activities. Again, it's very, very interactive, and you can, continuously work with all of the different things that you have on this live board. You can drill down by product type, and continues to, like I said, just ask those ad hoc questions ad infinitum. That's the true power of ThoughtSpot. It's not just generating that first answer, but allowing you to ask those next questions, and next questions. Okay. I think another area here, people are going to ask, well, how do you connect to the data? Connecting to data is extremely easy. We come into this, what we call a data workspace. So for those, data analysts and data engineers, they can come in here and, select the backing cloud data platform that they want to connect to. It's really just a point and click experience. You define your credentials, you select the tables and the attributes that you want to connect to, and then it'll generate your direct connections to those backing data sets. And then we also work with what we call worksheets. So for example, here, I was searching on this retail apparel worksheet. And so this is basically a collection of attributes across several different tables, both a sales metric and a fact table, and then multiple dimension tables. And that's what we call a search data model. But this is kind of a lightweight data model specifically for search. And you'll see here, one of the things when you're talking about searches, you want to be able to search on the data set and have an understanding of that data set. And so think of like, all of these different columns when they're coming out of a data warehouse or a database, you may not necessarily know what they mean. And so together with GPT, when you're creating this a search data model, we actually call out to GPT and say, hey, if we're using an attribute named product type, right, what are some possible synonyms for that? And then so it'll come back with additional synonyms, so that this really kind of levels the way of how people can ask questions on this particular attribute. So some people might, call product type just product type. Some people might want to search on product category, right? And so by being able to work with the search data model and with the help of GPT, it really streamlines the way that you can build out this model. And you can imagine, some of the models that we work with have, hundreds of columns. And just being able to use AI to help streamline that process is extremely useful. And then down the road, we're also going to use AI and GPT to also help us auto-generate all of these descriptions, so that when you see these data sets and attributes in your data catalog or analytics catalog, you'll know what they mean very easily. Okay. And then the last thing here I wanted to show is we mentioned embedded analytics and ThoughtSpot everywhere earlier. Just wanted to share with you what that actually looks like. And we do offer expose REST APIs and SDKs as well. And you're able to embed a search experience or live boards and visualizations and what have you. So it's all extremely flexible. But what's really interesting here is we have a low-code playground for you to interact with, so that when you're building out this embedded experience, you can very easily use this kind of code and just put it into your application and start embedding. And so, you can imagine this as what your app is looking like when you're embedding ThoughtSpot and our search experience. And so maybe you want to customize this experience and say, I want to actually collapse this data panel. So you just click that checkbox there. It'll give you that line of code that you need to add there. You can run it to test it out. And then you'll see that once it reloads, it has collapsed that data panel for you, right? And perhaps you want to default it to the sample apparel data source. Again, it gives you the actual GUID for that in the code line. And then you run that. And then again, it goes and customizes this experience to this data source. So this is how you can incrementally test and start building out this embedded experience in your product, and all the way down to what the chart is going to look like. You can even, this is our action menu here. All of these different items within this action menu, you can customize within this code. You can disable and hide them. You can add, help text to them. All of these things are all just very low code and simple, lines of code that you can do for embedded. And the real value here is it's not just easy for a developer to build out this embedded analytics experience, but this embedded analytics experience, like I mentioned earlier, includes this interactive search-based AI-powered experience for your application. So with that, I think I will stop with the demo, and we can maybe switch over to some questions, or I do have a few additional slides, but maybe to kind of keep things a little more interactive, I can take a look at the questions.
Been tracking it and don't have any, believe it or not.
Okay. Great.
There's some folks that said, gosh, my head's spinning with so many questions I'd like to ask. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for doing some follow-up. Well, here's an observation.
Okay.
With a question from Emmanuel. Metadata foundation layer for ChatGPT capacity. Seems like it's on top of obvious tables, blah, blah, blah. ChatGPT additionally learns via users submitting tags and synonyms. Does ThoughtSpot support monitoring execution in the target database to understand relations?
Yeah, so those are, I think those are multiple questions. Let me start off with, I think what could be useful is maybe this slide.
And we
I think a lot of people are kind of curious about, how this works together with GPT. Now, first off, one clarification I want to make is that we're not using ChatGPT. ChatGPT is that, chat application on top of GPT. So we're using GPT and the large language models behind GPT. So you can think of it as a GPT series of models. And so when a user asks a question in a natural language manner in our search bar, the first thing we do is we do our pre-processing. And based on our usage-based ranking, we know, the data set that the user is asking a question on, what are possible column candidates that we want to send over to GPT. And this is based on the most popular columns that have been used. And then we also send examples of, hey, if we're sending over these 3 or 4 columns, what a question should look like. And we also send sample values to it. So we do a bunch of pre-processing so that GPT has some context. And then it'll generate a SQL based on that context. And then when we receive that SQL, we translate that SQL back to our knowledge of all of those tokenized based search tokens and keywords that we have known for years and years and years. Awesome. And so this pre-processing and post-processing is extremely critical because we don't want to have like a random SQL generated by GPT. We want GPT to know the context and to know why the columns in the examples that we're sending are important.
Mhm.
And then we'll have GPT send us back, based on their own large language model, what that created SQL would be, and then we'll use that to ultimately execute the query via live queries onto the cloud data platforms and generate a visualization.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. What a great
Yeah.
demo.
This
And
is
again,
awesome.
Yep.
we love this product.
Andrew,
It-
you rock.
yeah.
Yep, that was awesome. Super informative.
Great.
Yeah,
Well,
we
I'm
put it,
thankful.
we
Yeah, I'm very
put
thankful
a trial
to
in
be
the
here.
chat already, Andrew.
Oh, awesome.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Take a picture of that.
Well, thanks
Yeah.
again. And
Thank you,
Thank you so
Andrew.
much, Andrew.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
okay,
Yeah.
take care.
You take
Great.
care
Good
now,
rest of the
Andrew.
day.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay, and I'm gonna stop recording.